The email came on a Tuesday. 4 sentences. No explanation. No warning. Just your position has been eliminated, effective immediately. Please return your badge and laptop. Your final paycheck will be mailed. I sat in my cubicle and stared at the screen for 10 minutes around me. People packed their things. Security waited by the door. No one looked at me. No one said goodbye. I had given that company 7 years. 7 years of 60-hour weeks. 7 years of holidays missed, birthdays forgotten, dreams postponed, and I was dismissed like a spam email. They called it, "We're structuring." They called it your business. But here's what they didn't know. That email wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. 2 years later, I walked back into that building, not as an employee, as the owner. And the first person I called into my office, the man who fired me. My name is Daniel. And this is the story of how I bought his company. 1 share at a time. 7 years. That's how long I worked for Harrison Financial Group. I started as an entry-level analyst, fresh out of college, hungry and eager. By year 3, I was running their entire data division. By year 5, I'd saved them millions in operational costs. By year 7, I was essential, or so I thought. My boss was Richard Harrison, 3rd-generation CEO, inherited the company from his father, who inherited it from his grandfather. Richard never worked a real job in his life. He showed up, took 2-hour lunches, and left by sen. But he had the right last name, so he had the corner office. And I didn't mind. I wasn't there for him. I was there for the work. I loved solving problems. I loved building systems. I loved watching ideas become reality. Richard took credit for everything, but I didn't care. I knew the truth. My team knew the truth. That was enough. Then the investors got nervous. The market shifted, profits dipped. Richard needed someone to blame. He couldn't blame himself. That would require self-awareness. He couldn't blame his family. They owned the place. So he blamed the people beneath him. The people who actually did the work, 15% of the workforce. We all assumed it would hit the underperformers, the new hires, the ones who coasted. I wasn't worried. I was indispensable. Then came the email. I remember the exact moment because I was in the middle of closing a deal that would have brought in $3 million in new revenue. My fingers were on the keyboard, drafting the final contract, when the notification popped up. Urgent, personnel update. I opened it. 4 sentences. Yeah, dear Daniel, after careful review, your position has been eliminated as part of company-wide restructuring. Your employment is effective immediately. Please return your badge and laptop to security. Your final paycheck will be mailed to your address on file. Sincerely, Human Resources. No phone call, no meeting. No, thank you for 7 years. Just 4 sentences. Cold, clinical final. I sat there for a long time. People around me were already packing. Some were crying, some were angry. I felt nothing, just empty. Like someone had reached inside me and pulled out everything that mattered. Security arrived. A young guy I'd never seen before. "You, sir, I need your badge and laptop." I handed them over, walked to the elevator. Didn't look back. In the lobby, I passed Richard Harrison getting out of his car. He saw me. Our eyes met for half a second, then he looked away and kept walking. He knew. He always knew. And he couldn't even look at me. When I walked out of that building, and didn't stop walking for 3 hours. Just walked through the city, past buildings I'd helped finance, past companies I'd advised, past a life I'd built that just crumbled. Peened. When I finally sat down on a park bench, I made a decision. Not a revenge decision. Not yet. Just a decision. I would never let anyone have that much power over me again. Never again would my life depend on someone else's whim. I didn't know how. But I would find a way. Yeah. The next 6 months were the hardest of my life. I applied to hundreds of jobs, heard nothing back. My resume looked great on paper, but in reality, I was overqualified for entry positions and too risky for senior roles. Companies didn't want someone who'd been restructured. They didn't ask why. They just assumed savings ran out, my apartment went, my car went, my girlfriend went. She said she couldn't handle the uncertainty. I didn't blame her. I couldn't handle it either. I moved into a tiny studio with a mattress on the floor, ate rice and beans, took freelance work that paid pennies, and every night I'd lie awake and think about that building. About Richard. About those 4 sentences, I started researching, not jobs. Harrison Financial Group. I learned everything about them, their structure, their investors, their weaknesses, their debt, their contracts, their expiration dates. Turns out they were in trouble. The layoffs hadn't saved them. Profits were still down. Investors were getting nervous. Richard was desperate. I saw it opening. A tiny crack in the armor. But I needed money, real money, and I had nothing. Then I met Marcus. Marcus was 73 years old. He'd been in finance for 50 years, made millions, lost millions, made them again. He was retired now, living in a small apartment above a bookstore, spending his days reading and smoking cigars on the fire escape. I met him at a coffee shop. He was there every morning, same time, same table. I started going there too, after my freelance shifts, just to be around people. One day, he asked me why I looked so tired. I told him everything. He listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he took a long sip of coffee and said, "So, what are you going to do about it?" Crawlsert, "I don't know," I said. "I don't have money, I don't have connections, I don't have anything." He laughed, "Not mean. Just knowing. Money is the easiest thing to get," he said. "If you know where to look. Connections are just people who haven't met you yet, and you have something better than both to do." What's that? Knowledge. You know that company better than anyone alive. You built their systems. You saved their money. You know where the bodies are buried. That's worth more than cash, Don. He leaned forward. "Ken, I'll make you a deal. I'll back you. Seed money. Enough to start. But you have to promise me one thing. Anything. Nodsitold. When you win, not if, when you remember that money is just paper. The only thing that matters is the people who believed in you when you had nothing. Don't become Richard." I shook his hand. Didn't cry. Almost 2 years. That's how long it took. Marcus's money gave me a foundation. I started a small consulting firm, helping companies fix their data problems. Nothing fancy. Just good work, fair prices, honest relationships. Within a year, I had 50 clients. Within 18 months, 200. My firm grew, hired people, made money, paid Marcus back with interest. But I never stopped watching Harrison Financial Group. Their stock tanked. Investors fled. Richard took out massive loans to keep the company afloat. Personal loans. Loans against the building. Loans he couldn't repay. I started buying. Small amounts at first. A few shares here, a few there. Through shell companies, anonymous accounts, quiet purchases. No one noticed. No one paid attention to the fired analyst buying scraps of a dying company. Then came the moment. Bendy Harrison Financial missed a loan payment. A big one. The bank called in their collateral. Richard had 6 weeks to raise $15 million or lose everything. I had 12. I approached the bank. Made an offer. Not for the loan, for the debt itself. I bought Richard's debt at a discount. 50 cents on the dollar. The bank was happy to unload it. I was happy to hold it. But now I own his loans. Not his company, not yet. But I owned his debt. And debt, as Marcus taught me, is power. When Richard missed the next payment, I didn't call him. I waited. Let him sweat. Let him wonder who bought his loans. Let him imagine the worst. Then I made my move. The meeting was scheduled for. Same day of the week, I'd been fired. Same time, almost to the minute, I arrived early. Wore a suit I'd bought with my first consulting check. Nothing flashy. Just, solid, confident, real. The building looked different. Smaller, dingier. The lobby needed paint. The security desk was empty. Harrison Financial was dying. And you could smell it. I took the elevator to the top floor. Richard's assistant, a new one, didn't know me, led me to the conference room, offered coffee. I declined. Richard walked in 5 minutes late, same suit, same confidence, but his eyes were different. Tired. Scared. Desperate. He didn't recognize me at first, just saw a man in a suit, some investor, some potential savior. He extended his hand. "Thanks for coming in, Richard Harrison." I shook his hand, looked him in the eye. "Daniel?" "Daniel Cross." "Nothing, blank stare. We've met before," I said. 7 years ago. I worked for you. Data division. You fired me via email. 4 sentences. No warning. No explanation. Da-inda. The color drained from his face. Slowly at first, then all at once. He sat down hard. You're the one who bought the debt?" Denstrel, I nodded. "I own your loans, Richard. Every penny. And I'm here to collect." He started talking fast. Offers, promises, deals. He'd pay me back with interest. He'd give me equity. He'd do anything. I let him talk. Let him sweat. Let him feel what I felt when I read those 4 sentences. When he finally stopped, I leaned forward. I'm not here to ruin you, I said. I'm here to offer you a choice. He stared at me, confused, hopeful, terrified. Choice? He whispered. I pulled out a folder, thick, full of documents. I own 62% of your debt. That gives me the right to call it in immediately. If I do, you're bankrupt by Friday. The company dissolves. Your employees lose their jobs. Your investors lose everything. Your family loses the building your grandfather built. I continued. I'm offering you another option. I'll forgive the debt, all of it, in exchange for 70% equity in Harrison Financial Group. You stay on as CEO for now. You answer to me. You report to me. And if you ever treat another employee the way you treated me, you're gone. No warning, no severance. Just gone. And he didn't speak for a long time. Just stared at the folder, at the papers, at the numbers that spelled the end of everything he knew. Why? He finally asked, why would you give me anything? I thought about Marcus, about the mattress on the floor, about the nights I lay awake wondering if I mattered. Because I'm not you, I said. Because destroying you doesn't fix what happened. Because somewhere in there, maybe there's a person who can learn, who can grow, who can be better. He started crying, real tears. The first genuine emotion I'd ever seen from him. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't. I wasn't. I just panicked. The investors were scared. I needed someone to blame. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. I'm sorry. I believed him. Not completely, but enough. Sign the papers, Richard. Then we start over. Together. Donned, he signed. Okay. My first day as owner of Harrison Financial Group was a Tuesday. Same day I was fired. Same day, 2 years later, I walked through the building slowly. Looked at the cubicles, the conference rooms, the coffee machine, where I'd spent countless hours. The people, some new, some familiar, who didn't know who I was yet. I called an all-hands meeting, the same room where Richard had announced layoffs 2 years ago. Same chairs, same stage, different energy. I stood at the podium and looked out at the faces, scared, hopeful, confused, wondering if the new owner would gut the place, fire everyone, start fresh. Good morning, I said. My name is Daniel Cross. 7 years ago, I sat in a cubicle on the 3rd floor. I worked here for 7 years. I loved this company. I believed in it. And then 2 years ago, I was fired. Via email. 4 sentences. No warning, no goodbye. Din murmurs rippled through the crowd. I'm not here for revenge, I continued. I'm here because I still believe in this company. I believe in the people who do the real work. The ones who show up early and stay late. The ones who solve problems no one else notices. The ones who keep this place running while others take credit. Davd. I paused. Let it sink in. Okay, here's what's changing. No more layoffs without explanation. No more bonuses for executives while employees struggle. No more fear. This company will succeed because we build it together, not because we tear each other down. Real applause. From people who'd been waiting their whole careers to hear those words, I looked for Richard in the crowd. He was in the back clapping, tentatively, but clapping. Maybe people can change. Maybe we all can. Yeah. It's been 3 years now. Harrison Financial Group is profitable again. Not because of me, because of the people who stayed. The ones who believed when there was no reason to believe. Richard reports to me every Monday. He's not the same man who fired me. Something broke in him that day in the conference room. But something else rebuilt. He's kinder now, more careful. He actually knows his employees' names. Marcus passed away last year. Peacefully in his sleep, I spoke at his funeral. Told the story of the old man in the coffee shop who saw something in a broken stranger. His family didn't know about our deal. They didn't know he'd backed me when no one else would. When I told them, they cried. So did I. The building still stands. I walk through it every morning, past the cubicle where I used to sit, past the security desk where I handed in my badge, past the lobby where Richard walked by without looking at me. Laned. Sometimes I stop and remember that day. The fear, the emptiness, the 4 sentences that changed everything. And then I keep walking, because that's not who I am anymore. I'm not the fired analyst. I'm not the revenge story. I'm just Daniel, owner of a company, leader of a team, believer in second chances. They fired me for no reason. So I bought the company. But in the end, I didn't buy it for revenge. I bought it because I believed in what it could be. And sometimes, the best way to prove someone wrong is to prove yourself right. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more tales of second chances, hidden identities, and moments that change everything. Click the bell for notifications. And remember, the person you step over today might be the person holding the ladder tomorrow.